and inner work. Ange, I have two questions left for you.
No problem.
If you could go back in time and give your own young self an advice, what would
Mhm.
that be? And this goes to anything. Could be personal, could be YouTube, could be business. If you could go back in time and give your own self an advice, what would
Okay,
you
so
tell
when
your
I
own
was
younger
younger,
self?
like when I was like 10 years old,
Say
or
10 years, say 10 years ago when you were 19.
10 years ago when I was 19. So like
Aren't
for YouTube, you mean? Like,
no, in anything. You're 29 now, correct?
yeah.
So 10 years ago, if you were to go back 10 years ago and give yourself an advice, let's say on life, what would
Yeah.
you give? What would you tell yourself? Because
You
you
know,
you you had your 20s now. You know
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. There's a lot of things. One thing I would for sure tell myself is plan, prepare. Okay, because you do your 20s. We take our 20s for granted, man. It goes by so freaking fast. And the beginning of your 20s, you know that you're just gonna waste your time. You're gonna go to clubs. You're gonna spend your money very, very, very irrationally. You're not gonna respect your parents as much. You're gonna hang out maybe with the wrong people. And there's a time where you make mistakes, Gore. And it's not the worst time to make your mistakes in the 20s, because then when you get older, you become an adult, a real adult. You don't have those problems after when you're married, when you have kids, and later. What I would say to my 19-year-old self is be smart, save your money, go to school, which I did, but go to school, do something that you're really inspired by, find the right path to get to wherever you got to go. Have the confidence to do things. Don't be scared to do things. You know what I mean? Just take that shot, like Wayne Gretzky says. If you go on somebody's live or you do something, just think about in 50 or 60 years, are people going to remember that you screwed up? Think about that, right? If you have that mindset, you could do whatever you want. It's all about just doing it. If you can't do it, you're never going to have that chance. So I would say literally grow some balls at 19, do the things you want to do, go out with girls, have a good time with your friends, go travel if you have the money to do it. Don't have any regrets. That's what I would tell myself. And,
Great advice, man.
use your
Great
confidence, use your confidence, be a confident person. Don't be scared. That's what I would say, guaranteed.
That's such a great advice. Thank you for that, and I'm sure our
No
viewers are
problem.
thankful for that too. And like the saying goes, if you don't plan to win, then you're gonna plan to fail. So
Yeah.
having a plan, and a lot of people confuse that plan. They need to have it down to the details. No,
Yeah.
one thing I've learned from from not winning,
Hmm.
is you want to have a target and
Hmm.
always be flexible with the routes to get there.
Yeah.
Don't jeopardize and compromise your target, but always have an open mind to change the way of getting there. Just because you thought, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that and then I'll get to the target, and then
Hmm.
you do the first steps, it works, second step doesn't work, you're like, oh, I failed. No,
Yeah.
the target is still there. Just because your way didn't work doesn't mean doesn't work. Find another way. Don't lose the target.
Another
And
thing, though,
mhm,
another thing that's really important, Gore, which I find that it's a problem with the world, with
mhm,
people. Don't worry about what people say.
mhm.
It's just, I wish I could say that 5 million times and mail it to everybody, because it's absolutely true. It doesn't matter what people say. If you followed somebody and they didn't follow you back, big freaking whoop. Like, you know what I mean? Or
Exactly.
whatever. If you asked a girl out and she said no, or whatever, or a friend said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you asked." Who cares? Like, who freaking cares? You know how much stuff goes on in the world. Do you really think that's gonna matter 100 years from now? You know
Not
what I
at
mean?
all. Not
Who
at
cares
all.
what people say? Do what you got to do. And the more you, like I said this at the beginning, the more you focus on who hurt you, getting back at that person, screwing them over, looking at all the people that they don't. No, just focus on execution. This is actually something Gary Vee said. Focus on execution. Spend your time doing stuff. And one of the things that's hard when you're
Action.
a performer, entertainer, podcaster, one of the things that's hard is that you want the time to watch other people's stuff, right? Which is
Mhm.
good. That's actually something you should do, okay? But the problem becomes you become a spectator after, and then you get lazy. You don't want to put up your own stuff. So that's why you have to stick to your schedule. Tomorrow's the day show on the Ange TV show, guys, by the way, at 2 o'clock Eastern
There you
time.
go.
So I'm going to be there, and I have a co-host. So I have a reason to do it. I have to do it because I have a co-host waiting for me.
And I love that you created that link, and which created more of a security and bond for you to come through, more
Yeah,
responsibilities.
exactly.
And
And it's a weekly
I
collaboration.
like that. And we talked about this in our last podcast too. We had two certified producers, sound engineers. They're artists, they're rappers, and we
Yeah.
talked about this over there in that field too. You definitely need to be very, very, very clear
Mhm.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's clarity is going to give you the confidence, so
Of
you'll know
course.
where you are. And
Yeah.
last question to you.
No problem.
What does modeling success and doing it successfully mean to you?
Modeling success and doing this successfully, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. You need to come up with an idea before you do anything. You always want to plan. Like, I want to buy a house, so now the next year I'm going to be looking at apartments, the prices, the location. So before you execute, you have to plan. There's the brainstorming process. If you do a business, okay, you don't want to do a business with $5,000, right? You want to do a business with a couple 100,000 or maybe a million, so that you have money for a rainy day, right? So, like I said, come
Absolutely.
up with a good idea, a good name. Think about all the things that could go wrong, and then come up with solutions. So you'll be ready for that. Instead of expecting something, oh, I got sued, or oh, this happened, that happened. Look at all the possibilities, the location, the demand. Supply and demand is one of the biggest things in
Yep.
macroeconomics, but it's
That's
true.
business 101.
How many people want to watch your video? How many people want to buy your bread? You know what I mean? That's what you have to look at. It's the number one thing. How many people need you? You understand? So
Exactly. In
that's
other words, how much value are you adding?